We usually encourage people not to reinvent the wheel, but rather to already assess what has been done well before and what has maybe not been so well for the application that our customer is targeting. Before trying to do everything from zero, we rather ask our clients to... Hello, I am Florian Heike, an electronics engineer based in the beautiful island of Taiwan, and having lived in Asia for half of my life. And with our team at Celenius, we are turning our customers' ideas into manufacturable products.
Hi, Florian. So what we want to learn, how do you help entrepreneurs source from Asia? Big question for you.
Well, there's always a gap between what a startup entrepreneur wants to do and what typical factories are able to do. So we look at an idea from both point of views, then assess the feasibility, start to break down the idea into sub-challenges to address, and then we usually target the hardest challenges first, try to find solutions for them, or address ideas to find those solutions, and then look at suitable suppliers that can either make the finished product or sub-components of the finished products and then bring them together at a different location.
Okay, so yeah, this is such a big task, such a big project. Can you share a bit about the makeup of your team and your unique qualifications to handle this big project?
Yeah. So our team, we are at the moment 10 people. I myself, I'm an electronics engineer from the Technical University of Munich. We have a mechanical engineer on staff. We have 2 software engineers on staff and 4 dedicated project managers with specific strengths in different industries, plus some support staff. And usually when a customer approaches us, we recommend our clients not to try to reinvent the wheel, but rather to extract the key competitive advantage that the entrepreneur wants to deliver to the market. And then, in a second step, survey the market for products which are close or already addressing the target audience that the entrepreneur is targeting, and make a clear benchmark analysis what other people already do well and what they don't do well. And then also look at the construction of the products to see what components, what systems, what subsystems, what they do. And then only after that benchmark assistance, refine the product idea. And the next step is to identify on how to turn the competitive advantage in a most effective way around in terms of product feature. And from that, go back into the final product design.
All right, that's really interesting because it sounds like you're providing a total solution which includes manufacturing solution as well as business consulting by helping your clients figure out their competitive advantage.
Well, I don't want to say we are smarter than our customers. So usually we expect that the people that are going into a business idea, that they have usually a better insight of their customer needs. However, we are challenging those ideas, right, and the customers should be ready for this. But on the other side, it's also a way to protect ourselves. Since we only have a small team, we have to use our resources wisely and therefore select the most probable business cases where we feel comfortable to deliver value. Since frankly speaking, we do not like to support Me Too products, where somebody just tries to make something which is, oh yeah, I'm the 6th provider of the product XYZ, and because I have such a great brand and that's all I have. No.
Could you share an example, like maybe a selfie stick, something like that everyone's been...
Well, as I say, we are usually not so much into the consumer products.
Right.
So we are more like in the business area. But let's say, when you look at, let's say another photo lamp or another typical desk lamp or something, then where I don't see a fundamental advantage, this is not so interesting for us. We prefer to contribute to make the world a better place in a specific niche area. That is mostly what our customers do. So usually we like to work with entrepreneurs that have identified a specific gap in the market where they can really deliver something innovative to solve a real world problem better than it's being done right now.
Okay. Maybe without giving up too much of your customer information, could you share a couple of examples, a couple of cases of these sort of really innovative products with a gap in the market?
Well, I can say it from a generic specific point of view. So for instance, we are strong in lighting and in sound for professional sound. Well, but lighting as well as sound is usually a component of interior architecture. Give an example. When you are in a large auditorium or in a place of worship, you don't want to have a very bulky speaker because it doesn't look good. It has to fit into the architecture of the building.
Yeah.
That's one idea. The second one is, usually you do not want to see, especially in Europe, cables hanging around ugly on the wall. Mm-hmm. So how to give a small idea. Typical walls in Europe are white, and they have a specific white. It's called RAL 9010. So one of the requirements for our products is they should have that white. This particular white. Actually, there's a funny story about it. This RAL standard is coming from Germany during the imperial times.
Wow.
Where at that time the emperor of Germany was not happy to see that his frigates, his warships, had different grays. So they were ordering different ships from different shipyards, and then they made a parade, and they saw, oh, why is the gray of that ship different from the gray of that ship? I want one gray. So he started to come up with this RAL standard for colors, which is still used today. And this norm white that is everybody using is this 9010, which is the most common white. It's a little bit of creamy white. It's not like a cold white. And that's typical wall color. So they want the cable to be that color. They want the speaker to be that color. So that and they want the holder to be that color, so that it looks good. A small problem, but it's very important for the architect who's delivering the product.
So if they were to go directly to, let's say, the manufacturer, then they would have to deal with this problem basically individually with every individual manufacturer.
Yes, and so do we.
Right.
And it's a huge challenge because typically when you go to manufacturers, especially subcomponent providers, each manufacturer is focusing on a specific technology which they produce. So maybe one manufacturer is good at steel parts, another one is good at aluminium parts, another one is making plastic parts. And now you want them to make all the same color. Mm-hmm. And especially with white, it's quite challenging.
Well, couldn't you just send out this color code to everybody and be like, here's a color code? Yeah.
And then comes our human eye.
Oh.
Now our human eye, this is the interesting part. We are not good in selecting different brightness. It's 20% different brightness you do not see. However, and at the old ages, when we were still living in the woods and we had to go hunting, our human eye is very sensitive to color differences. Mm. So that we can detect the deer behind the tree. So our human eye is very sensitive to color nuances. So it's not an easy solution. So what would be a proposal to solve this? Well, if you can arrange the painting to be done at the same workshop for all the different parts after they've been manufactured, and you can ensure a certain thickness of paint, then you can solve that.
Wow, that's stuff I haven't even considered, that the thickness of the paint, the brightness of the paint.
Yeah.
Okay.
the reflectivity of the paint.
Wow.
Small issues, but make a huge difference for a high-value product.
Right.
And the typical manufacturer that is normally integrating all different products from different suppliers, for them it's more like an annoyance. They rather have 3 suppliers for each component so they can compete on them, have the better price, put everything together and say, oh, it's good enough, I put it together. But if you're in a specific market where this particular parameter is important, then you have to deliver a strategy in your manufacturing process to address, to make that particular requirement happen.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, if you have a consumer product, which is somewhere standing on the desk, you probably won't care about that so much because it's not in the phone. But if you are an architect and you have, let's say in an installation, 20 speakers, you want them to look the same. Or in lighting, the color difference of your light. You want to have the same color of the lamp for each lamp.
Right.
And addressing this particular problem is not so simple.
So what I'm curious about, do your clients already anticipate these problems, or are these things that you that you find along the way and you bring back to your clients and say, hey, we encountered this problem, how do you want to solve it?
Both ways. Can be this way or that way.
Okay.
So normally any entrepreneur that's going out there to try something different from what is being done is usually, I would say, a restless person.
Mm-hmm. I can relate.
That is not happy with the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
And there are lots of problems out in the world, and the problem of one person is an opportunity for the other. And usually that's what entrepreneurs exploit. So some of the challenges they are very aware of, otherwise they wouldn't have that idea to address it. And then they look for possibilities to make that a product so they can sell. On the other side, there are certain problems that the customer is not aware of, and we have to make them aware of before they start going into the manufacturing process, especially the color difference in lighting. Mm-hmm. You can take a small thing. If you go to a restaurant, for instance, like next time when you have your dinner with your girlfriend, although you may have to look at her rather than just look at the light, but sometime you can choose to look at lighting. Try to look at the white light, how similar that white is. Some may be more bluish, somebody may more yellowish, some may more greenish. If you're in a little bit upscale restaurant and you're an interior architect, that drives an interior architect mad.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because I actually did something very stupid recently. I went on Facebook Marketplace and I bought AirPods that were half price, and I was like, this is great, half price AirPods. I received the AirPods, and I compared them next to my old AirPods, and the color was off, and I knew right away I just bought a fake product.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that in manufacturing, that consistency is so important, I think.
Yes, consistency and to be accurate on the important factors. And that is also one of the key strategies that we apply with our team. We interview with our clients to understand which parameters are really important in the application they are targeting and which parameters are not so important, because you don't want to over-engineer a product. That's also a risk. I mean, we have great watches from Switzerland. There are marvels of engineering, but they usually don't fit the budget of the average person. So it's not a black and white thing. There's a range of things. But the really, really important thing, what we care and what's the service that we usually deliver to our clients, is to address the key parameters in the target market that this entrepreneur is targeting. That's why most of our clients are niche market players that make products for specific niche markets. And usually those companies are not that big.
What's a typical profile of a client you work with, a company you work with?
I would say a typical profile is a company with usually 10 to 200 staff, maybe working with franchise on a franchise basis or as a system integrator solution provider that is targeting special applications. Could be also a machine maker, machine integrator that is making a specific machinery for a specific market. We serve predominantly clients in Germany, Italy, Austria, some Switzerland, some also Canada, that are usually specialized providers to specific markets. These are our target audience.